So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Today we welcome you back here at BSN Arc. This is the BSN Arc podcast here today. It is Thursday, August 13th. Hope everybody's having a good day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. I know I am. It is Thursday, August 13th. We are halfway, or more than halfway through the week. It's Thursday, tomorrow it's Friday, then it's the weekend, which is always good. So hopefully everybody's having a good day so far. We got a lot of sports to get to today, like always. We got George Kittle, the 49ers. George Kittle and the 49ers are closing in on a massive contract. I'll talk about that coming right up. So it's my first topic. Then number two, we got Le'Veon Bell, Adam Gase of the Jets in the NFL. So Le'Veon Bell came out yesterday and said, this will be the best Le'Veon Bell you see ever. Will be the best Le'Veon Bell you have seen ever. Now, here's the whole deal. He said the same thing last year. He said, fantasy football. He said to all those fantasy football people who got me first round pick last year. This year, I promise I won't upset. So now he's coming out and saying something again. How much of it is believable and how much of it is just trying to get people just so hyped? And then Adam Gase also came out and said that he misused Le'Veon Bell, which is, to be honest, I think the best thing Adam Gase has done since he landed here. And I'm not even kidding by that. Admitting to something he did wrong. He misused Le'Veon Bell last season, and it is, he misused him, and it is what it is. So I finally understand. Finally, he admits to something that he did wrong. Now, he can admit to a lot more stuff, but he's not going to, or else that would really expose him. But one of the many things he has done wrong was misuse Le'Veon Bell, and he has now came out and said he misused Le'Veon Bell, so it only took a whole offseason and almost to the beginning of that next season. It took a year for him to say that he misused Le'Veon Bell. So, finally he comes out and says that. So we'll talk about that coming up. Then we got the Yankees, Mets, Nets, and Islanders like always. Our third topic is always Yankees, Mets, Nets, and Islanders. Yankees won yesterday, Mets lost, Nets play today, and then the Islanders won yesterday on a 2-0. They were down. They've scored 4 unanswered goals. And sure enough, the Islanders end up winning Game 1 versus the Capitals, so that's huge for the Islanders. Another second OT game for the Bruins. The Bruins-Hurricanes game went into 2 overtimes. Bruins ended up winning 3-2. Or 4-3, my bad, 4-3. And, so I'll tell you what. I've been enjoying the hockey. It has been, all the games have been so good. There hasn't been one game where it's 4-1. I mean, except the Rangers. Those are pretty, 4-1. What was it? 4-1, 3-1, or 3-2, or whatever. Pretty much the Rangers are done. But out of, these playoff games so far and out of all the other games, it hasn't been any, 5-1, 4-1. It's been 3-2, 2-1, 3-3 going into, the final 5 minutes. It's been 2-1, 1-1, 2-0, come back, score 4 goals, 4-2. They've been very entertaining. It hasn't been a game. I sit there, watch it, and I haven't found myself, in the final period really being this game's over. No, because every game's been one or a tie game going into that third period. It's either a 1-goal game or a tie game, or in the Islanders' case, they were just starting a comeback. 2-0, they score 1 goal in the second period, come out in the third period, score 3 more, 4 unanswered, they end up winning the game 4-2. There hasn't been one game where I've been I'm gonna, this game's done. Every single game has been so close. Hockey's been really enjoyable to watch. And obviously the Yankees, Mets, Nets, and Islanders are up on the table for that. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN Arc podcast, and let's get right into it. So, 49ers rumors, George Kittle closing in on a massive contract extension with San Francisco. So, I'm gonna say this first. And like I said, I have my trustworthy sources. I have my sources that, are trustworthy. I have my sources that I believe aren't. So, this is Bleacher Report, which is a very trustworthy source. I love this app. This is probably one of my favorite sports apps of all time. I mean, it's amazing. So, this is Bleacher Report. So, George Kittle yesterday on his Twitter came out and said all this stuff going around about his contract extension, his 6 year, $94 million, is not true. Now, I, in a way, believe that. In a way, I don't believe it, okay? Here's the reason. This was first reported by 49ers Web Zone, which was this was first reported by 49ers Web Zone, which not a very trustable source. But then other insiders took it. They really made sure, they're insiders. They made sure they're close with the team. They're able to really tell you, okay, this is real. So I'm assuming this is real. George Kittle said it's not, but you could also be, as an NFL player, you could also, be saying that it's not. So then you kind of calm calm everything down, not be like, oh yeah, he's signing a big deal, and then come Friday he doesn't sign a big deal. I think you'd rather have it to be a surprise. But anyway, we're gonna go with he is signing a big deal, and it isn't any hoax, isn't any false report. Because if it was a false report, I would imagine it would come out right now that it was a false report. So, George Kittle is closing out on a massive contract extension with the San Francisco 49ers. This is huge. This is huge. This is big for the 49ers. And I'll tell you what, I think George Kittle is probably the best tight end in the NFL. I don't think there's any doubt about it. There really isn't any doubt about it. There really isn't any doubt about it. Because here's my whole thing. He's got a good quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is good. I wouldn't so much say Jimmy Garoppolo's great. Some people say he's great. Some people say he's amazing. Some people say he's not that good. I say he's okay. Here's the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo. Everybody's calling him great for a team last season that was dominated by the run game in the playoffs. Everybody's calling him great for a team last season that he literally, in the NFC Championship game, threw, 7 or 9 passes? Okay, that is big. That is huge. Very huge. 9 passes is not that many. So, I wouldn't so much go the route where Jimmy Garoppolo is about the top 10 quarterback in the league. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think there's a lot of other players out there that are top 10 quarterbacks. I would not say Jimmy Garoppolo is one of them. George Kittle, on the other hand, is without a doubt probably the best tight end in the NFL. He is almost, at times, you could almost say he's the best player in the NFL. At times. He has shown it. That is how good he is. He has shown, at times, this guy's pretty good. This guy's pretty good. He has shown at times, all right, you look at, and he wasn't no big name. He was not no big name. He's grown a name for himself. It was George Kittle coming out of, high school, college, and now he's really like George Kittle. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, I know who George Kittle is. George Kittle is a beast. George Kittle is about to sign a huge extension to make him the highest paid tight end in the NFL by far. They said by far this will be the biggest contract, according to Ian Rappaport. Very trustworthy NFL insider. So, or NFL reporter. So, by far, this will be making him the largest paid player tight end, which I will tell you first, I think he deserves the money. If you got to go watch him, what he does on the field is just fascinating to watch. And I remember in the Super Bowl, and the 49ers don't have the best receiving core of them all. They have an okay receiving core. There's a lot of and I'm going to tell you this first. There's a lot of parts of this 49ers team that they could use tune-ups. The tight end position is not one of them. The tight end position, they should keep him there for his career. If he continues to do what he does, keep him there for his career. It's just fascinating what he does. Every single Sunday, it's almost like he brings just that kind of energy and just absolutely just tears it up. Every Sunday, he just comes out, tears it up, best player on the field, best player on the Niners, best player, one of the best players in the league, best tight end in the league. Every Sunday he comes out. There's not a Sunday, I feel like, where he's not there, meaning like he's there, but he hasn't done anything in the game. He always is making an impact, and that is what I love about players. You could have a player that everybody says he's great. Some games he has off games, which is normal to have an off game. But when every single game you're making some sort of impact, whether that is blocking, whether that is receiving, whether that is scoring, whether that is just catching the ball to get a first down on a big play, whatever the case may be, he's always doing something. There are some players out there that are very, very good, top 10, top 5 players in the league, that some weeks they just have off weeks. It almost seems like George Kittle doesn't have an off week. It almost seems like every week he's just dominating. It almost seems like every single week he is doing something to help out the Niners team in not a good way, in a huge way. Actually, I shouldn't say good way, because it isn't a good way. Not a big way, in an absolute huge way. He's always finding a way to do something. And I'll tell you what, if George Kittle was not on this team, Jimmy Garoppolo, I feel like, would not be named that highly, because he's got one of the best tight ends, doesn't have a great receiving core. If he doesn't have a great receiving core and his tight end wasn't great, he would have absolutely no one to throw to. That's another thing. A lot of people, and this is where I always try to give credit where credit's due to the offensive line. Nobody says anything about the offensive line or George Kittle blocking in general. Nobody says anything about that. They're all like, oh, George Kittle's catching. Well, all the plays that Raheem Mostert, and all of them, Tevin Coleman, all of them ran, George Kittle, I'm sure a couple of those plays were blocking. So you got to also give him credit in the blocking game. Because obviously he could block as a tight end as well. It ain't just about the catching. It's not just about the receiving. It's not just about the touchdowns. It's not just about the big yards. He was a big part of that run game as well. Because those plays that he was running, he was either off on the sideline or he was blocking. Or he could have been running around, running a fake, running straight up the field, So, yeah. So, he could do everything. He could catch. He can run. He's pretty quick. Also, another big thing I noticed, and if you want to see this, it's hilarious. You have to go back to the 49ers versus Saints game last season, 2019-2020 season, last season, the year they made it to the Super Bowl. So last season, you have to go back to the Saints-49ers game. So it was, I don't know how much time was left in the game. I don't know exactly. It was very short. Let's just put it at that. Short amount of probably under 2 minutes in the game. And George Kittle, or Jimmy Garoppolo, not George Kittle, that's the opposite. George Kittle throws to Jimmy Garoppolo. So Jimmy Garoppolo throws it downfield to George Kittle. Big play. I mean, George Kittle was running straight. I don't know how many yards. I would have to look back exactly at the replay. It was at least 25, 30, 35, 40 yards downfield. Throws it up. Kittle catches it. He starts running. He gets one guy tackling him from the waist area. He gets one guy face masking him, and he gets a guy down by his legs. And he still doesn't go down. They called a face mask penalty. He goes down maybe 10 yards later. He gets like 10 more yards with 3 guys on him. Then at the end, when the guy's face mask came off, he had another guy jump on his back, and I think finally he kind of just went down. But, like, people, if you didn't see that play, you got to go back and see that play. Because I did not have a good way of explaining it. You got to go back and see that play. Go back and look up George Kittle versus Saints. Or George Kittle, or even George Kittle highlights. I'm sure it'll probably be in his highlights, because if I made a George Kittle highlights, that would definitely be in there, because that's a highlight. I mean, he almost was like Marshawn Lynch at the tight end position. It took 4 guys, because one guy, face mask, I'm pretty sure he fell off of him, and then the other guy jumped on his back. So it technically took like 4 guys to take him down, and he finally went down 10 seconds after all 4 guys hit him. Same thing with Marshawn Lynch. George Kittle, in a way, is Marshawn Lynch at the tight end position. Very tough to bring him down. And you could say that about any tight end. But go back and watch that play, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Just look up George Kittle versus... I would do it here, but you're not going to be able to get a good view of it. Look up George Kittle versus Saints, or George Kittle catch versus Saints, or whatever. Or you could straight up just look 49ers versus Saints, and I'm sure it'll come up. Although you might not get a great, highlight, replay of it, because it's just the highlighting the whole game, not just one play. But anyway, just do that, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Unreal play. Probably one of the best plays I've ever seen a tight end make. I mean, even the one-handed catches. I mean, that play was just so crazy. And a lot of people do ask me this. Like if you're going to ask me this, what would I rather? A player like George Kittle be able to catch the ball and absolutely just strip defenders and maybe have 3 guys on him and still get 10 more yards? Or a guy that could just catch one-handed catches every once in a while? A guy that can catch one-handed catches every once in a while. You know? A guy that... Or not one-handed catches. I meant a guy that can catch the ball and get stripped by or get hit by defenders big time and strip them off of him. I would take that every single time. I would take that every single time. Because, one-handed catch every once in a while. One-handed catches, in my opinion, are a little overrated. I've said this so many times. One-handed catches, in my opinion, are one of the most overrated things in the NFL. Okay, good. You made a one-handed catch. Like, they're good and they're nice. I understand. They're very nice. I love one. I like one-handed catches. But, when you do it repeatedly, and it makes the number one on SportsCenter top 10, it's like, okay, we heard it. It's not the first time. But then you got Beckham. Then you had Landry. And now it's everybody. It's literally everybody now who's making these one-handed catches. But this is huge for the 49ers if they do try this extension. They have pretty much their best tight end, the best tight end in the league, wrapped up with them for what seems like another 6 years. So this is huge for them. So 49ers rumors, George Kittle closing on a massive contract extension with the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers and tight end George Kittle are reportedly close to an agreement on a massive contract extension. Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network reported Thursday by Thursday the deal is expected to make Kittle the league's highest paid tight end by far. The 26-year-old University of Iowa product is set to enter the final season of his 4-year, $2.7 million rookie contract with the Niners, who selected him in the 5th round of the 2017 draft. The 5th round, people. This isn't no first-round guy. This isn't no first-round, 15th, 10th, top 5 pick. This is the 5th round, okay? They picked the tight end in the 5th round. 5th-round players usually do not go on to make big money. And I'm not trying to be mean to 5th-round players by any means. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But I'm just saying, like, it's pretty crazy how he can do this as a 5th-rounder. Like you don't see, not every day do you see a 5th-rounder be this good. Kittle has significantly outplayed the draft position. Exactly what I just said. He recorded 216 catches for 2,945 yards with 12 touchdowns and 45 regular season appearances across his first 3 years with San Francisco. In July, the 2-time Pro Bowl selection told Matt Mahito of NBC Sports Bay Area he had no plans to hold out, even if the sides didn't come to terms before the 2020 season. See, I like that. Because that's a player that truly just wants to go out there and win, and the money's not first. A lot of players, the money's first. Every player, the money first. Most players, 85, 90% of players, money's first. You don't give me the money, I'll hold out. We need more players like George Kittle. All right. I want the money, but you don't have to give it to me immediately. That is one thing I did not like about Adams on the Jets, is he wanted the money immediately, which I said to give it to him. But hindsight 2020, looking back at it, he did, hindsight 2020, looking back at it, he was kind of pushy, and I kind of always said I don't like players that are pushy, but I also don't like players that are pushy and stink when they get the money. And I know I always rip him on the show, but Manny Machado's an amazing example. I've always said this because it's so true. He passed up a deal with, the Dodgers, winning organizations that wouldn't give him that much money. Winning organizations. Even he passed up a deal with the Yankees. A winning organization, a team that is on the team that is just like so close to getting another World Series championship. They're chasing 28. He went to a team. Now the Padres are doing good this season, but he went to a team at that time that had no hope whatsoever because of the money. He doesn't care about winning. He went out to Padres, a small organization. Nobody really knows about them. Nobody talks about the Padres. Now people are talking about the Padres because of how insane they are. And it isn't Machado on that team leading them. It's Fernando Tatis Jr. So I like players that, okay. Or I like players, okay, I get the money, but I still play hard. That's the one thing I did like about Adams, is he wanted the money from the Jets organization. They are a losing organization, but he still wanted the money. But he did end up saying how he did want to leave and stuff like that. But that all comes out after the deal. Being a captain, I want to be there for my team. And I need to show the right leadership skills, Kittle said. There are a few ways to describe the highest paid player at a position. Here are a few different standards Kittle would have to surpass for that distinction per sports track. Total contract value $54 million Rob Gronkowski, average contract value $10.6 million Hunter Henry, and guaranteed money $23 million Austin Hooper. It's likely Kittle will rank first in all those categories when his deal is finalized. Grant Cohn of the Sports Illustrated reported a source told him it will be a 6-year, $94.8 million contract for $47.4 million in guaranteed money. So he passes Austin Hooper, and he's going to pass Gronk. And probably Hunter Henry, it seems. The Wisconsin native's substantial rise is warranted. He's ranked third in receptions, 173, second in receiving yards, 2,430, and sixth in touchdowns, 10, among tight ends over the past 2 years, per Pro Football Reference. He was named a first-team All-Pro for the 2019 campaign. Kittle and the Niners are scheduled to kick off the new season September 13th when they host the NFC West rivals, Arizona Cardinals, at Levi Stadium. And I've said this multiple times. That George Kittle, or I've said this. Hold up, what was the stat? Oh yeah, I've always said this. Like, his stats, and I've always said this, I just wanted to read the stats again and just double check what I was going to say. So, these stats are just so great. Like, they're just so blown through the roof. And it's not like what you see on the field is unbelievable. It's what you see on the field and the numbers. You know, some players you see on the, and I've always said this about Dak Prescott too. You know, a lot of people, they don't see it on the field. They look at the numbers and they're like, all right, this guy's got good numbers. Some people see it both in Dak. I've seen it both in Dak. I've seen it on the field and in the numbers. Prescott or Kittle, we see it on the field and on the numbers. Like those are big players. Like some players, like I know I always do Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott and stuff, and I always compare them. But like it's true. Like Carson Wentz, for example, you look on the field, he is not like you do not think in any way he's a top 10 quarterback. You look at the numbers, okay, there's an argument there. Numbers don't lie, that's the thing. So, I mean, what you see on the field is not always true. Because you look at the numbers and you're like, all right, he's a top 10. You know, you can't always go off of what you see on the field. Now, sometimes the field is what you can go off of because you might see a guy on the field that's not good and you look at the numbers and they're not good either. So most of the time it is not what you see on the field is insane, then you look at the numbers and it's not very good. Usually it is what you see on the field is bad, then you look at the numbers and they're like, all right, it's good. You know, he's pretty good. But I mean, this is huge for the 49ers and George Kittle, and I think he deserves it. I really do. You know, he's worked so hard to get to this point. Obviously, being a fifth-round pick, obviously wasn't very highly recruited, highly kind of prospect as I guess a word you could use. Not very highly, I don't know what really word to say. Not very highly like touted, not very highly talked about, being that he was a fifth-round pick. And now he's really grown a name for himself. Now you can make the argument he's one of the biggest names in the league, biggest name on the Niners. I mean, I would love to hear the jersey sales. I'm sure his jersey's blowing through the roof, especially if his jersey gets sold. Especially if he does sign this big contract that everybody's talking about. I've always said this. I'm a big jersey dude. If you ever want to talk jerseys, I'm big into it. I was going to do jersey stuff on the pod, but I like jerseys. A lot of times you see it. You know, you buy a rookie's jersey. Players, they do it all the time. You know, people buy rookies' jerseys. But a lot of times you see it where after a player signs a huge extension, or if he comes over to that team, that jersey will be the top selling. Not even if he's great or okay, just because they know, okay, we got him locked up here for another 6 years, so I don't have to worry about my jersey being released in a way. Because when a player gets released, your jersey's almost released as well, if you follow what I'm saying. I've had that happen to me before. I've had so many players' jerseys where they've gotten released. But yeah, it's kind of funny because, you know, I'm sure you're going to see his jersey sales go up, you know, because you're going to have him locked up here for another 6 years. You know, unless he opts out, which he seems like he wants to stay in 49ers. And if he continues to do what he does, I have no clue why the Niners would get rid of him. So, I mean, there's very well a chance that he is, you know, gonna do what he's gonna do. You know, I just thought of something. What is today, August 13th? The Hall of Fame game would have already been done. There would have been football on. Football would have been on right now. Not regular season, preseason. Looking at it, it's better off they didn't play regular season or preseason. Looking at it now, it's better off. Because I think the players would not have been ready. The preseason games would have been so ugly. They're usually bad to begin with. They would have made it worse. The only time I would watch actually like a real preseason game, I know I'm getting a little off topic here, but I just thought of it just because it said how his past game got canceled between the 49ers and the Broncos because I'm looking at his stats, and that was the Hall of Fame game, I'm pretty sure. To be honest, like, the only time I watched the preseason, if it was like if it's like a new player, almost like the NBA Summer League. Like, I watched the NBA Summer League when Zion came in. Like, it was a new player. I wanted to see what this kid's all about. Same thing in the NFL. Like if there's a brand new player, like a player that everybody thinks can make a huge impact, I want to just see what he's capable of. I just want to see it. But anyway, so George Kittle, 2019 stats, 85 receptions, that's 17th in the league. Yards, 1,053, that's 23rd in the league. 5 touchdowns, that's tied 42nd in the league. Average, 12.4, that's 57th in the league. Last season, he played 14 games. He's got 216 receptions, 336 targets, 2,945 yards. He's had 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Last season, he did have a little bit of a yard drop-off, about 300-yard drop-off, which might seem like a lot, but he did miss 2 games. He makes up those 2 games. You never know. It could have been only a 100-yard drop-off. He averaged per play 12.4. 5 touchdowns, stayed at that. His long was lower. Fumbles, he had 1. He only played 14 games, so he did miss 2. So you also got to realize he missed 2 games. His receptions would have been up from 2018 as well, because I'm sure he would have got more than 3 receptions. He probably would have had, like, maybe he could have cracked 100 receptions if he doesn't miss those 2 games. Kittle, I did have to say, he had a little bit of a slow start, I'm pretty sure, last season, because I remember talking to my friend. He's in one of my fantasy leagues, and he drafted Kittle. And he was struggling for him early. He didn't really know what to do with him. And I was like, keep him. And I was like, I never told him to keep him, but he ended up keeping him. Sure enough, he ended up turning on the Jets and ended up really helping him out. But he had a little bit slow start. You remove that slow start. You also give him 2 extra games. These stats could be a little bit better. They're very good. I mean, they're probably the top out of most tight ends. But, he doesn't miss 2 games. He's a little bit better. But anyway, so Kittle's just amazing. I mean, he's just an amazing player. Really just fun to watch. And I think really just bright future ahead of him. I really do. He's very young. He's still only 26 years old. Bright future ahead of him. I think just with him is just, getting him passes, getting him in the plays. You just got to really make him involved and stuff like that. And he can make a huge impact. Not just an impact, a huge impact. I mean, he's one of the key components why this team is where they are at, and that is a Super Bowl contender in many ways. He's the reason why this team is where they're at. It's not nobody else. He is the reason why. One of the big reasons why. Also, their defense has been very good. Their head coach is really, and I've always said this about the Niners. Some teams, some Super Bowl contenders, you got, teams that are, led by 1 or 2, 3, 4 big stars. New England, Tom Brady, Julian Edelman, Dante Hightower, Devin McCourty, Jason McCourty, Julian Edelman, right? Then you kind of had, some teams, it's like the Niners. They don't have that big names, but they work together as a team. It's the GM, it's the owner, it's the coach, it's the offense, it's the defensive coordinators, it's the receivers, it's the line, it's true. Like, the receivers helped, defense helped, corners helped, linebackers helped, defense line helped. It's not like the Patriots where Brady really was the big, the big hoorah, and then you had these other players on the side, right? Brady was the big superstar, and then you had other players on the side. So, definitely, it is fun. It's very entertaining to watch players and things like that. So, very entertaining to watch, but a very entertaining team. The 49ers have Kittle has a bright future ahead of them, so that's big for the Niners. So anyway, next up we got the Le'Veon Bell situation with the New York Jets. He did come out and say that he said he's ready to have a career year. Do I believe this or do I don't? It's all coming up right after this. Right after this. So Le'Veon Bell. So Jets Le'Veon Bell expect to have a career year following complacent season. Do I believe this? There should be a segment right now called Do I Believe This? Do I believe what Adam Gase said about, I misuse Le'Veon Bell? Or do I believe that what Le'Veon Bell is saying? I bought into this stuff last year when he came out and said, hey, you know what, man? I'm going to have a huge year. To all those fantasy football holders who drafted me first overall last year, draft me again this year. I promise I won't upset. I bought into that last year. Now, I did not draft him number 1 overall. I did draft Saquon. I went the safer round, drafted Saquon. My friend ended up getting at the 6th pick. He fell to the 6th pick in our draft. We did a snake, so he ended up getting Le'Veon, which I was like, all right, he got Le'Veon. That's actually pretty good. So anyway, Le'Veon Bell expects to have a career year following complacent season. I don't know if I should believe this or if I shouldn't. I want to believe it because I would love to see him have a career year. Like I said, I've always said this, and I'm just going to talk about this for a second. Okay, I've always said this about my sports teams. I'll go hard and rough on them. I'll go hard, not easy, rough on them, mean, and stuff like that to my sports teams. But I always hope, every single season, I might predict that they don't do well, but I hope that they win the Super Bowl. I mean, every single year, I would love the Yankees to win the World Series, the Nets to win the Finals, the Rangers to win the Stanley Cup, and the Jets to win the Super Bowl. I've always said this. I've always said it. All 4 of my sports teams that I like, although I might beat them up and I might say, they're not doing anything, they're not going to do this, they're going to do that. I've always said it that, I would love every single season to a player to have a career year. Next year, the Nets, I have actually maybe going to the finals. Depending on what I see, what we do in free agency, I can't make my decision yet. What we see in free agency, and what we really just look at our head coach. We're getting a new head coach because obviously we fired. Then we could really make our predictions. But at the moment, I'm not going to say that. But Le'Veon Bell, I'm going to tell you this. I hope he does. I don't know if he will. I'm not going to say if he will or he's not. I'm going to say I hope he does. Because I don't want to say if he will or won't. Because if I say he will, he probably won't. If I say he won't, he probably will. But I don't want to say won't because that just doesn't set a good vibe, right? So I'm going to go ahead and say I hope he does have a good season. In a way, I think he does. Here's my reasoning, okay? Last year, Adam Gase, best thing I've ever heard or seen him do was admit to something that he's done wrong. Now, that is one of the first things he admitted to. He has done many things wrong with this team that he had not admitted to. So I hope that he admits to... He has admitted to this Jets Le'Veon Bell situation. He has admitted to that. But what I will tell you is this. I got a lot of other things to admit to. That's just the first step. So hopefully that's the first step to maybe him actually becoming an coach. It's good to see Adam Gase admit to something. He should admit for the season last season because he was the reason we stunk. He made so many bad calls, so many big moments, so many just bad plays, so many just bad decisions. So Jets Le'Veon Bell, I do think he will improve. Is it a career year? I don't know. Here's the reasoning. Because he's got some of the best career year stats out of any running back ever. I mean, it's fascinating. When he's on, it's unbelievable. This guy's unstoppable. Look at his numbers. It would take a lot for him to have a career year. It would take way over 1,000-yard season, a ton of carries, a ton of touchdowns. Then you also have a quarterback in Sam Darnold that wants to get involved. I'm going to say he has a better year. I don't know so much about career year because career year is, and I'm not saying that he can't do it, but you got to realize, Le'Veon Bell, the stuff that you have set a career year, the bar very high. When you were at Pittsburgh, your career year bar is all the way up here. You're at the moment is like right here, which is not bad, but your career year bar is very high. I do think he improves, though, because last season was so bad, I don't think it's that hard to improve. So, Le'Veon Bell, I say, improves because he's got a better offensive line, right? Better offensive line. That's the big thing. That is really the big thing. He's got a better offensive line. I mean, what more has to be said? A running back needs an offensive line. You look at the offensive line he had in Pittsburgh, it was unbelievable. He had a very good offensive line in Pittsburgh, very good overall team in Pittsburgh, a good coach in Pittsburgh, a good overall players in Pittsburgh. He's got a better offensive line. He's got Greg Van Roten now, Connor McGovern, Mekhi Becton, George Font, Alex Lewis. And those might not seem like big names, but much better offensive line than what we have seen. And I know a lot of people have said, a bunch of unproven names. Well, it's because they fit our scheme. It's because they're good players. It's because they're very, very just overall good players. Connor McGovern, one of the better players on the Broncos defensive line. You know, they might not be the Zach Martins, Travis Fredericks of the world, but they're good players. And Le'Veon Bell needs this. Okay, last season, Jets did nothing to upgrade our offensive line. That is also because we had a horrible GM and Mike McCagnon in the front office. Le'Veon Bell also last season was put into a broken situation. He joined a team who had a general manager who was about to get fired. So what they did was Mike McCagnon ended up actually hurting Le'Veon Bell and Sam Darnold by not drafting anyone good in the draft. I will tell you one thing. If Joe Douglas was the GM before the draft you never do that. You don't fire a GM after he drafts. You just don't do that. You don't fire a GM after he drafts. You just don't do that. You're supposed to fire the GM, hire the new one, let him draft. Not fire the GM after he drafts, after he makes all the... Because he had one of the worst drafts in Jets history was last season. We picked a guy in the third round of the draft who was supposed to be a first rounder, had a horrible combine, one of the worst combines ever. We picked him in the third round. Guess what? We ended up dropping him second week of preseason. So he hurt Le'Veon Bell last season too. He got him. Yeah, he gave him all the money. But he didn't give him offensive line. He gave him one offensive line play. That was Kelechi Osemele, who then got injured and got released, which he's very good. Kelechi Osemele, I would love to have him back. I actually met him. Really nice guy. I actually met him before. Talked to him for a couple of minutes. But he's a really nice guy. I would love to have him back. I'll tell you what. This is unreal. This is unbelievable. That McCagnon, he could have easily got some good offensive linemen last season in that draft. Doesn't. Ends up getting Quinnen Williams, who I'm not mad about. But then fails Darnold again. Fails Le'Veon. Now this season we got a good GM, good draft, good off season. Now all of a sudden, okay, you're talking. Now the Jets are all of a sudden, okay, well maybe Le'Veon does have it. I think Le'Veon does have an improved year. Here's my one concern. I know Adam Gase just admitted to all what he said. Oh, he misused Le'Veon Bell last season, this, and this. But, hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. He has gone Frank Gore, LaMichael Pirine, and a couple of those players. He said he's going to mix them up. Le'Veon Bell needs all the touches he can get. He needs all the touches he can get. Le'Veon Bell does. If he wants to have a career year. He can't have what he had last season, 11 touches a game. He needs to have a lot more than 11 touches a game in order to have a career year. So, Jets Le'Veon Bell expect to have a career year after a complacent season. I'm going to tell you this. I think with our offensive line, if our offensive line performs, I'm going to tell you that. I know I've said this multiple times. But if our offensive line performs, he will perform. If our offensive line doesn't, he doesn't. So it's up to the offensive line if Le'Veon Bell has a career year. Perhaps humbled by a disappointing 2019 season, New York Jets running back Le'Veon Bell redirected himself in the offseason and reported to training camp at his lowest weight since high school. At 28, he expects to have a career year. This has been the best I've felt, and I'm ready to show it, Bell said Wednesday at a video conference with reporters. I'm ready to show this is the best Le'Veon Bell that has ever played in the NFL. Bell, whose listed playing weight is 222, said he is in 215 range. He thought he was in good shape last year too, but admitted retrospectively that he wasn't even close to where he needed to be on May 30th. He decided to intensify his offseason training. In a candid interview, Bell said he had succumbed a complacency. It's not something I set my mind to do, but I think I kind of got a complacent in my head. He said, "You have success for 6 years in the NFL. I've always had something to drive me to be great. When I was in college, I wanted to get to the NFL. When I got to the NFL, I wanted to be the best running back in the league. When you start hearing, oh, Le'Veon, you're the best running back in the league, it's not like I stopped working hard, but it's more like I don't have the edge anymore, that chip." Bell, a two-time All-Pro, more than 9,200 total yards from the scrimmage in 5 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he says he believes his range regained that edge. After sitting out 2018 in a contract dispute with the Steelers, Bell signed a 4-year to $52.5 million contract with the Jets, regarded as one of the elite talents in the league. He rushed for a career-low 789 yards as the Jets finished 32nd in total offense. He averaged 3.2 yards per carry, the worst in franchise history for a starting running back. He was undermined by poor blocking and at times predictable play calling by Coach Adam Gase, but Bell refuses to use those as excuses. They are kind of. It was those were the big reasons. I've been hearing it was the O-line issues and Coach Gase not getting me the ball, Bell said. I had to look at myself and ask, was I really the best I could be? I know I wasn't even close. This year is going to be a lot different in that aspect. Gase acknowledged that he misused Bell early in the season, but the coach is optimistic about the 2020 season. He has better understanding of Bell's skill set. At the same time, Bell has familiarity with Gase and his offensive system. He's fired up to go. I know that, Gase said. He worked extremely hard this season. He looks great. He might have come in lighter than last year. Gase said they've already discussed new ways to get Bell the ball in the passing game and moving him around in the formation. The biggest difference could be the offensive line, which could have 4 new starters on paper. It's a better line than last year. It's just about getting the ball in his hands and letting him go do things, Gase said. Bell also addressed the Twitter feud with his former teammate Jamal Adams, who was traded last month to the Seattle Seahawks. At the time, Bell was critical of Adams because one of the reasons he signed with the Jets was to join the safety in an effort to turn around the franchise. 1 year after recruiting Bell as a free agent, Adams forced a trade amid a contract dispute. On Wednesday, Bell downplayed this squabble, taking the high road. He's a great and special player on the field, and I love to play with him, Bell said. He's a great teammate too, but sometimes you don't like the way people handle things. That's what he said there. So that is what Le'Veon Bell said. So, like I said, I hope this is all true. I know some players do this to really hype themselves up. I know some players do, but I think it's true. I think he will have a better year this year because they got a better offense line, because they have better players on that offense line, because they have better players on the offense. I think they'll be much better in the offense. And I'll tell you what, I got to give credit where credit's due. Adam Gase at least admitted. I wish he could have admitted it way earlier than this, but at least he did. So anyway, Le'Veon Bell, I do say, improves tremendously this season with his new team. With the new Le'Veon Bell, I guess, in a way. So anyway, the Yankees won yesterday. The Yankees won. Yankees had 6 runs, 12 hits, no errors. Braves had 3 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. Yankees moved to 12-6 on the season. LeMahieu had 4 for 5, 2 runs, 1 RBI. Voit went 2 for 5 with an RBI. Hicks went 1 for 3 with a run scored, 2 walks, and an RBI. Urshela went 0 for 3 with a walk. Torres went 1 for 3 with 2 walks and an RBI. Ford went 0 for 5. Sanchez went 1 for 5 with a run scored and an RBI. Frazier went 3 for 4, 1 hit shy of the cycle. 2 runs, no walks, 1 RBI. Great performance for him. Talkman went 0 for 0. He came in right fielder. And then Gardner went 0 for 3 with a walk. The pitching, Tanaka went 4 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Loizaga 2 innings, 3 hits, no earned, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Green 1 inning, no hits, no earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Luis Avilan 2/3, 1 hit, no earned, no walks, no strikeouts. Ottavino 0.1/3, no hits, no earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Holder 0.1/3 and 2 hits, 1 earned, no walks, no strikeouts. Britton 2/3, no hits, no earned, no 1 walk, 0 strike, no strikeouts. So the Yankees moved to 6-3, or moved to 12-6 on the season. We play the Red Sox tomorrow. I'll preview that game then. The Mets, they won yesterday. So the Mets won 1 run, 7 hits, no errors. Washington 2 runs, 9 hits, no errors. So the Mets, Nimmo went 0 for 2 with 2 walks. McNeil went 1 for 4. J.D. Davis went 2 for 4. Conforto went 1 for 4. Don Smith went 0 for 3 with a walk. Ramos went 0 for 4. Jimenez went 1 for 4 with a run scored. Guillermo went 2 for 3 with a RBI. Billy Hamilton went 0 for 2. Alonso went 0 for 1. Porcello had six innings pitched, 8 hits, 2 earned, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Hughes had 2 innings, no hits, no earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Diaz went 1 inning, 1 hit, no earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts. So the Mets... Wait, no, this can't be correct. Yeah, I knew that couldn't have been correct. My bad. I read the wrong stats of the wrong game. So the Mets actually lost. That is my bad. And the Mets won yesterday. That's my bad. I knew there wasn't something right about that because I was like... Diaz didn't pitch yesterday. When I was sitting right here, I was like, Diaz didn't pitch yesterday. I know that for a fact. Because I looked at the stats before the game, and I was like, after the games, I was like, Diaz didn't pitch. I know that for a fact Diaz doesn't pitch. Diaz didn't pitch, I mean. So anyway, these are the stats of the Mets-Nationals game. I'm sorry about that. So the Mets had 11 runs, 13 hits, no errors. Washington had 6 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Porcello's not pitching 2 days in a row. So the Mets moved to 8-11. So Nimmo went 3 for 5 with 2 runs and an RBI. Billy Hamilton went 0 for 0. J.D. Davis went 0 for 5. McNeil went 0 for 5. And Conforto went 2 for 3 with 3 runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. Alonso went 3 for 4 with 3 runs, walk, and 3 RBIs. Dom Smith went 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Jimenez went 1 for 5 with a walk, with an RBI. 3 strikeouts. Ramos went 1 for 4 with an RBI. Guillermo went 1 for 2 with a run scored and 2 walks. Gilsman went 2 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Shreve went 1 inning, 1 hit, no earned, no walks, no strikeouts. Familia went 2 innings, 1 hit, no earned, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Wilson went 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Delmo Betances went 1 inning, no hits, no earned, no walks, 3 strikeouts. Smith went 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. Brock went 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. So the Mets moved to 11-6. They play the Nationals today. I guess I'll give the Mets a win, coming off of a big win there. How many hits did the Yankees have again? So the Yankees had 12 hits. So big hits last night for those teams. All right, so the Nets, they play today. The Nets play today. The Nets versus the Blazers. I got to give the Nets the win. The Blazers' playoff chances rely on this game. Blazers lose, they're done. I think the Suns will be in. Nets win this game. I want the Nets to obviously win. I said the Nets do grab the win there. The Islanders make a huge comeback yesterday. A 4 unanswered comeback. So they were down 2-0. They ended up scoring 4 goals unanswered. They end up winning 4-2. They take a 1-0 series lead. They play again on Friday, which is tomorrow, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'll preview that game obviously tomorrow. That was a fun game to watch. It was very fun. It was 2-0, and then I turned on the Yankees game. It was 2-0, then I had to go somewhere, and then I turned on the Yankees game. Or 2-0, and I had practice, and I turned on the Yankees game, and then Yeah, it was all good. So they played well. The Islanders played very, very well. I mean, insanely well. And they weren't at it. Like I know like some teams would probably be like, oh, 2-0, let's just try to, try to get some shots, clear the puck, try to just get in their zone. They were really applying pressure. And I'll tell you what, the amount of chances they had, there was one chance I remember strictly. Brandon Holtby was the goalie for the Capitals. They shot the puck. It went under Holtby's pads. It went under him. It was sliding behind him. One of the Capitals players, I'm pretty sure, comes in there, pokes the puck out. It hits an Islanders player's stick. He shoots it. An insane, arm or whatever saved by Holtby, and it was just a battle around the net, and somehow, some way, Holtby just came up with the puck. The puck was probably this close from getting over the line to goal, and it wasn't. Those are some of the chances the Islanders have. That was one of many. I'm not going to go through all of them because it would take a long time. They had many great chances, couldn't convert, but they ended up converting, scored 4 unanswered goals. They take game 1 of the series, best of 7, so they just got to win 3 more. They take game 1, which is huge for the Islanders, especially coming back like that. You're down 2-0, coming back 4 goals. The momentum is just key. The momentum is coming out of that game is unbelievable. Momentum going into tomorrow's game is unbelievable as well. That is huge. To make a comeback like that is big. It wasn't even just like it was a 2-goal comeback and they barely won on a 3-goal lead. They scored 4 straight. It wasn't like it was a 1-1. 2-1 them, then 2-2, then they scored more. They were down 2-0 and they scored 4 straight. So big win for the Islanders, big win for the Yankees. Nets played today. So and the Yankees, obviously I said play tomorrow. So the Yankees play tomorrow, Mets play today, Nets play today, Islanders play tomorrow. So we'll preview all those games. We just previewed them now, and then we'll preview tomorrow's games as well. So that's what I got for the podcast. So like always, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.